Alright, now I got you a little zoomed in, and I'm actually going to show you how to get these wires on here and actually tell you which side they go to. So on the back of your outlet, you can't see it right here because of the lighting, of course, but you'll actually see that there's a written section right here below these screws, and you'll see that there's a written section below these screws, and that's in a little small spot. But generally, your gold screws are going to be hot, and your silver are going to be ground. And of course your green right here is your neutral, which is this wire right here. Go ahead and loop, actually get this cleaned off a little bit. Get it looped. So we're going to do our ground first, or our neutral I mean, which is the green. We got it on there pretty easy. You want to take your pliers and you want to pinch the wire as much as you can around that screw before you tighten it down. I'm going to go ahead and tighten down our green neutral. You want to actually get the wire in between these two tabs you'll see. Need to unscrew that a little bit more. Got that right where we need it. So you can actually see that there's a metal tab there, and there's a metal tab on that side. You want the wire that you're putting on that point in between those two tabs. Like right here, when we put on our grounds, you want them in between those plastic spaces on the outlet. So we're going to go ahead. You can twist this around, just don't twist it so much. You generally want to do your grounds first. And you want to actually see where these wires are coming from. So these are coming from one side and those are coming from the other. This is probably coming from your breaker, and this is going to the other outlets in the area, or switches, or whatever else that may be tied to the area. So you generally want to have the same wires from the same thing across from each other, but it doesn't really matter. I mean, these brackets, they contact the same side. So when you put the whites on one side and the blacks on the other for hot and ground, they're going to contact the same metal anyway, but I generally like to keep them grouped. So we want to get this outlet right side up. We're going to cross these. These come from the same, these come from the same. So we're going to get this put on right here. If you have your wire pitched like this, it's a little bit easier to get it on the screw that you're trying to get it on. Like I said, you want to do that pinching action that I told you earlier, or showed you earlier. And that'll actually get it in between those grooves that you need to have them in between. But the reason why you actually might have needed the square is because squares actually has a little bit more grab on the screws, and the newer outlets, you can use square, Phillips, or flathead to tighten them down. And actually I like using the square sometimes. Other times I don't. This really depends. So we're actually going to tie this other one down. We're going to pitch it real quick. And we're going to slide it on around that screw. Sometimes these are hard to do. You might find a few that are a little bit pesky. And sometimes they just don't want to go around the screw that they're trying to go around. But once you do that pinching, once you get the pinching down, the rest of it comes pretty easy. But we're gonna go ahead, so these ones, this one goes to the same one, that one goes to the same one, so that's why I have it like that. So that when you turn it around, you can still get the same side on the same side. But like I said, you don't have to do that. I just prefer grouping them so that the same Romex, and that's actually what this wire is called, or Romex. The same Romex goes to the same sides, the same screws across from each other. You don't have to because they touch the same metal, but you know, it's all about preference. So we're gonna go ahead and get that one on there. And you want it to be underneath that screw before you put this down. We're going to see if we actually have anything on here yet. That still has power for some reason. I'm not entirely sure why the breaker is off. I could have been shocked at any point in time. I have been shocked before by varying voltages, DC and AC, just by not taking precautions sometimes. You generally want to have gloves on when you're doing this, but as of right now I can't find my gloves. So we're going to get that one around there. And we're going to go ahead and screw this one down real quick. And there you got all of your wires on. As you can see, the blacks are on the same side for hot, and the whites are on the same side for neutral or ground. And then you have your neutral wire tied to your green. We're going to go ahead and flip this around to the right orientation. And those all should be tightened down. You can also put electrical tape around these just for an added protection. Sometimes I do, depending on the type of J-box that's in the wall. This one's plastic, and there shouldn't be anything else that makes contact with these wires. And you want to have the neutral bent away from your hot wires. So I'm going to go ahead and put this in the wall, and we're going to finish out this video. This into the wall, sometimes the wires are a little bit too long, and you want to bend them in as much as you can. And when you're putting in the outlet, it should bend them into place. Sometimes you might have some difficulty. But like I said, you want to have that neutral that's back there, that's exposed wire, as far away from the hot side where the exposed screws are if you're not putting electrical tape. I do recommend putting electrical tape. I just didn't grab any for this. And this is a kitchen outlet. Generally, you're going to use these types of outlets for your kitchen, except when it's close to a water source, like a sink. If it's close to a water source, like a sink, you want to have a GFCI. There are building codes, depending on where you live, that'll tell you how far that an outlet has, or how close an outlet has to be for you to require a GFCI. And that is an interrupter switch. That's the one that has a little red and black buttons that are on there. So if it trips, it has its own, technically its own breaker built into the switch or to the outlet, so that it can cut off power just in case it has a short or water contacts it or any of that stuff. So we got this in here. It's pretty flush. We're going to go ahead and flip this breaker on. And that should tell you that you wired it up correctly. but we're going to show you the multimeter and show what we're reading out. And we're getting about 120.5, give or take a volt, or a half a volt. That might be because we're having variations in power coming from our breaker or panel. I don't think y'all saw that, but 120.5476. Again, I apologize for the lighting, but this is a video by Ferry Family Enterprises. And we're going to go ahead and actually put this cover back on. Like I said, this cover's a little bit broken, but it'll have to do for now until I buy some more. But there you go. And that is how you change out or troubleshoot, or at least the beginning stages of troubleshooting an electrical outlet. Catch us for the next video where we do switches or circuit interrupters. You guys have a good day.